there's a few things I want to talk about tonight, so we're going to shotgun through a couple things before we get through the main thing I kind of want to get into. First up, some people, or at least one person last week, asked why I haven't been doing any more Cardfight Vanguard stuff. It's not, and I apologize for not directly responding to the comment. I've been kind of busy lately. It's not that I don't want to talk about Cardfight Vanguard. I do. It's actually, I haven't seen any episodes since episode 3. The series is interesting, and I hear it's staying at least engaging. But the thing is that it premiered so damn late in the season that I've had a lot of other shows that I've just been trying to get through and keep up with weekly, and so as time gets freed up and I eventually finish all 4 seasons of High School DxD, which I didn't realize there were 4 of till it was too late, I'll just get caught up with Vanguard and just probably do like one big video like I did with Yu-Gi-Oh! When I got behind on that a while ago. I'll just do one big video where I just give all my thoughts on everything and then just hopefully keep things going weekly. I've also been watching Darling in the Franxx too, for anyone wondering about that. It's just kind of a time thing. By the time the weekends, these past several weeks for me, the weekends have been pretty busy and full. So by the time I get a chance to really sit down and do a video, I feel like talking about the episodes is just old news. So yeah, there goes that. As for this week's Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode, there's one big thing everyone's been talking about since it came out yesterday, and it is a big thing, but it kind of eclipsed everything else. First up, this duel is insanely lazy. Like, even the whole episode has this very, yeah, here we go. I love how they called the episode, like, epic rematch or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, epic rematch between these two guys who've known each other for all of, like, a day. Even the opening scene of, like, Bowman waking up in a castle in, like, Tar is just weird and random and out of place for a show that's trying to be a science fiction based techno thriller. Like, it's just there because they're like, well, it's worked in other stuff, so here we go. There's then a weird chase scene where Yusaku is about to be swatted like a fly by giant hands, which just make me think of number 106 Giant Hand, which makes me Mrs. Ale, especially with what we've been dealing with lately. Then the duel starts, and I'll say this, I like Bowman's black armor in the sense that I like it has this weird clashing contradiction look to how he appears, and also with the white and the pink in his design. The armor just looks cool in general, but above all else, it sort of plays back to the idea that this is a man who is basically being messed with. Every fiber of his being is being manipulated. His thoughts, his memories, everything who he is under control of his brother and the main villain and all of this, and I like that sort of being represented in that visually, in that now he has this darker appearance, but because the way it deals with his color pattern, it almost feels like this sort of unstable mixture, which I think is what they're going for, and it's a neat idea in theory, so I enjoy that. I also like in the facial expression, the visible difference, the anger, the rage. He doesn't look the way he did before. It sort of plays into that fucked up element of, again, his memories have been messed with, who he is keeps getting messed with, so he's now just been forced into this angry person as opposed to what we've seen so far, which is a very scared person. So that's a neat idea. As for the duel itself, I may be going a bit too far to say this now, but we'll know more in 2 weeks when the next episode happens. This might be one of the worst duels they've ever put in the show of the whole fucking franchise. They keep talking throughout the duel about how, oh, I anticipated you would do that, so I did this, and I thought you would do that, so I did this, but when you really look at what they're doing, nothing actually seems to be influenced by the opponent. Like, when you really look at it, he still goes off with the same strategy as last time, which is this weird specific attribute deck. Why not, if you're going to do a rematch and Bowman is basically a different person, why not either have him use a different deck or show his deck using a strategy specifically designed to deal with the Cyburst? Like, he's like, I summon a monster that can attack if you have a fire monster. Yusaku uses mostly light and darks. Who gives a shit? Even at that, his whole deck just seems to be kind of dumb. Like, literally, look at that Link to that Knight thing. That doesn't fit the theme, that doesn't fit the idea, it's just kind of a generic-looking Knight thing. It's pretty dumb, and it's just like, nothing about how he's playing really reflects anything. They're like, oh, he's so much more serious this time. He had Yusaku on the ropes last time just because you have to do that every duel. Like, it's the same thing. There's no actual difference. Same thing with Yusaku's side. Now, some people will be like, well, Yusaku activated a trap negation trap. Yusaku should probably have always been using that. And also, one card designed to stop a honestly very slow strategy, that being relying on trap cards, when your deck, in theory, really isn't even affected by this guy's deck. Like, it's this sort of stuff that's the problem with the duels in this series. There's little to no thought into actually giving the duels any deeper meaning besides cards, summon, stuff. Why not make it that if Yusaku is worried about a deck that allows him to direct attack, why not have it he's playing on the defensive? Why not have it he uses, I don't know, a first turn firewall with link markers on it? Why not make it he maybe has a more trap-oriented hand instead of just going for a big offensive play? Or if he is going to go for the big offensive play, have him go for an OTK. You make it that he's like, my opponent doesn't really play anything with high attack values, I'm going to summon something big, and I'm just going to go in for it. Because as it stands, he's just doing his normal generic shit of link spam. Like, this is sort of the problem, is that we've never gauged Yusaku's intelligence properly, so we don't really know what countering Yusaku's plays means besides, I don't know, if Bowman was playing something like, I don't know, Max C. But you can't do that because they didn't give Yusaku any ability to do anything else besides link spam, so there isn't really a strategy here. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, there was that duel where Yuya couldn't pendulum summon, or how he went about his pendulum summon had to be different. You did that with Yuma, you did it with Yusei, you do it with everyone to show off the character's intelligence and put them in a new situation, not just use every duel to explain how cool this guy is. That's really all there is to it. And then there is, of course, the episode ending twist. It feels weird talking about all this, because I know next time is just going to bring this whole up, but that's not for another 2 weeks, so I figured better to at least get into it now. The whole revelation that Yusaku might not actually be the real Yusaku, and that Bowman is Yusaku, obviously Bowman has had implanted memories, so most likely that is just the implanted memory, that he now believes he is Yusaku. Having said that, I don't think the writers are stupid enough to the point yet where they would make it that you just throw out this crazy thing and it's just a red herring. I think that the main villain, the guy shrouded in light, is either the real Yusaku, or he might be the real version of one of the other people who went through the Lost incident. I think that is a very strong possibility, and it could be an interesting idea. I don't think it would work with Yusaku, because nobody seems to care about Yusaku as a person. So what does it matter if he's a computer program if we have no reason to care about his personality anyways? So that's my first thoughts. We'll have to see how that develops next episode. That was very clearly an episode-ending twist. But my initial thoughts are, I think it's going to go somewhere in the future. I don't think Bowman is actually the real Yusaku. I'm pretty certain that's just the implanted memory. If it's done right, it could be interesting, but you know, I'm a little wavering. I'm a little worried about that right now. And as for the last thing I want to talk about, this is also the TCG question of the week, or what you think of it as well. Today, Neos got support. It got a new spell card that will actually be our sneak peek card for entering the Cybernetic Horizon. I'm kind of indifferent. Some people have said that they're glad it's a TCG exclusive again. That's the tradition. I really don't care, honestly. It's usually never a great card, and if it is a great card, it's bullshit like Reborn Tengu, for those of you who remember the TG spam format many years ago. And we're going to go over this today because I'm a hero player, and I talk shit about the last hero support card, so let's talk shit about this. The spell card is Contact Gate. The effect is going to be up here the whole time, so you can see for yourselves. But we're just going to go over everything and sort of explain how it sounds okay in theory, but then... so first up, the first two things is banish 2 Neospatian monsters with different names from your graveyard. Special summon 2 Neospatian monsters with different names from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Okay, so at first glance, that sounds really fucking good. Being able to get 2 monsters out, essentially for 2 things you've already used. But there's a problem, and that is Neospatians aren't really good at getting to the grave. They can barely get to the field. Now, yes, they have access to cards like Convert Contact, and there's a couple other ways to dump them, but at that point, you're relying on something else to go off to be able to use this. Neos needs a good starter. They need something to get the plays going. Not something for when you've already done a bunch of shit. There's other cards they can use in tandem with this, and yeah, 2 resources is good from the deck, but it's the Neospatians. The problem has always been getting Neos out. This random bricky level 7. As it stands right now, there's nothing in the deck that's really good at getting him out that also works with everything else. You have to rely on excess stuff that can actually get you in trouble more often than not because you brick with it. So then we get the thing that ultimately, in my opinion, kills this. For the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusion monsters. Some people have pointed out, well, then this might just turn into a generic link engine. No, it won't. The rest of the cards in the deck are shit. Making this the one good thing is not gonna break it. The thing is that we're in Master Rule 4. And Neos needs to be able to do things. You can't do anything if your only hope is to get out Neospatians. Then what? We already addressed you have the problem of how do you get Neos out afterwards, which you can't really do here. But it's like you get these Neospatians out, then what? At least if you could make a link, if you could make some sort of play besides just 6 underwhelming fusion monsters, it'd be something, but they've taken away any flexibility you could actually work into the deck. And then the other one is if a face-up fusion monster that lists Elemental Hero Neos as material returns from the field to the extra deck, you can banish this card from your graveyard, special summon one of your banished Neospatian monsters. You can only activate Contact Gate once per turn. Again, this is extremely contradictory because now you need the thing banished. You need to wait till the end phase when your Neos goes bye-bye. And you'll get one of 6 of the most weakest monsters of all time. The only good one you can get is Grand Mole, but because 2 of the only really good Neos fusions, Magma Neos and Grand Neos, rely on Grand Mole, chances are you probably have your Grand Moles back in the deck. If this thing fetched a resource from the deck, or hell, even if it was just summon the Neos back, it'd be something. But the thing is, chances are your banished Neospatians are the bad ones you only just played, so that way you could fill out the numbers ratios. So you're probably not going to have a good one. It's probably just going to be a crap one like Dark Panther or Glomoss. Like, you basically can't really do anything with this card because it's cute, but it doesn't really fix anything. It doesn't fix the starter problem. It doesn't fix the fact that the Neospatians are bad, that the fusions are a bit underwhelming. Except like Air Neos and Grand Neos, those 2 are still fairly good. But this doesn't give the deck what it needs. The deck needs consistency. The deck needs power. The deck doesn't really need resource grabbing. The deck actually has a lot of that already. It's just it doesn't grab good resources. The deck desperately needs retrains of all the Neospatians and easier ways to use Neos himself. Like how Dark Magician's got Eternal Soul. And before anyone says it'll be broken, no it won't. Nothing can probably make Neospatians tier 1, but at least make them something. So that's my thoughts on everything. I know this ran a little bit long, but we had a couple things to cover. What did you think about this week's episode, about Cardfight Vanguard, about Contact Gate? Let me know all that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe. And also, since there's no new episode next week, If anyone has any ideas for topics they'd like me to talk about, because I have one or two ideas in mind, but I'd like to know if there's anything someone would like for me to take the advantage of the week off of and talk about something with Yu-Gi-Oh! I may not have thought of. Tell me that below, and as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.